goodness. Good morning, everybody. Hi, Karen. Hi, Jewel. Good morning, Nancy. Good morning, Connie, Philomena. Nice to see all of you. Thank you for joining me today. Oh, it's so great to be here. Thank you so much, everyone, for jumping in on this Facebook Live. I truly appreciate it. I love being a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and so it's so much fun to get to share these different card ideas that I do with you. The particular card that I'm doing today is going to be with the So Many Stars bundle. It's a beauty, and it really works well with the Mercury Glass acetate. So we're going to look a little bit at that today. Welcome. Oh, so good to see so many of you joining me. Guess what I'm going to give away today? Well, not today, but Monday morning I'll do a little Facebook Live drawing, and we'll pick 2 names, and 2 people will get some of that Mercury Glass paper. I'm going to cut it down to card front size for you, and that way it's easy to mail. What do you have to do to get in the drawing? It's pretty easy. You just have to share this video on your timeline. Let me know that you've shared, or make a comment. Tell me where you're watching from. Have you got the bundle yet? Do you love it? For those of you that are fairly new to me, I'd love it if you'd like my page. It's always so much fun to have new people join our stamping page, and even my Happy Stamper Stamping to Share Facebook group. That way you always get the notifications of when I'm going to do a Facebook Live. Welcome. Oh, Karen saying thanks for the win. Yes, she's one of the wonderful winners. Thank you. Oh, good. Lots of people watching this morning. Wonderful. Thank you already for sharing. Great. For those of you that are looking for a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I would be honored to be yours if you currently do not have one. I take really good care of my customers. I usually send a card for every $50 purchase. So if you order 150 from me, you get 3 cards, and you get Happy Stamper tokens, and you get Designer Series paper samplers. I do a really good job. Well, I think I do, and I think my customers would agree. I do a really good job of taking care of my customers. It's a passion. Yes, and I love stamping. I've been stamping since 2000, and it truly is a true passion for me. It's, I think, what I was called to do. It's just one of those things that I never get tired of. It never gets old. It never gets boring, and I feel so blessed to be a part of Stampin' Up! They're not just a part of my life, they're a part of my whole family's life. We've all benefited from being a part of the Stampin' Up! Family in that I've earned incentive trips with Stampin' Up! And it's so much fun to take my family on these trips. In fact, we just got done signing up for the Maui trip, which was the latest trip that I earned. And I just okayed the flights this morning, so that will be so much fun. Oh, good. Welcome. All right, I'm about ready to get started here. One more last sip, and then we can get going. All right, let me flip the camera down. I'll show you the bundle, the card we're going to make. These cards actually were my top 10 card, but I made extra because we had so many demonstrators. It was last month in October. Who earned not just their top 10 card, but we had so many demonstrators that got to the first volume rebate, which is where you sell 600 in a month. So I made extras of these cards so that I could give those top achievers who were selling over 600 in a month this card as well. And it's a real beauty. Everybody that got it just was crazy about it. Okay, so let me flip the camera down and we'll get started. So this is the bundle, and let me tell you a little bit about the bundle. It's a huge stamp set bundle, so it's not real tiny like you would see on this picture. When you open it up, there are actually 2 sheets of stamps, and this is photopolymer, so you can see exactly where you're stamping, which is such a nice benefit. So here's the stamp set. And you can purchase that by yourself, but I know a lot of you have die cutting machines and you enjoy using those to accent your cards. And so there is a very elaborate set of dies that go with this stamp set, and they are stitched which means for no effort on your part other than to run it through the die cutting machine, you get lovely stitching on your stars, which to me is such a bonus. I remember back in the old days, to get stitching on my die cuts, I used to take a very fine black pen and I would make little tiny stitch marks all the way around. Can you imagine how time consuming that was? But I did it because I love the stitched look. And so this gives you that stitched look with very little effort. I mean, if you can use a die cutting machine, you can get this with these stitched stars. And I'm going to show you the ones that I used. So let me show you how I layered up this card. There's actually 2 stars on here, and I used, so I have them flipped over so you can see which 2 that I used, but there's 1 star that doesn't layer in with the rest. Well, actually 2, because there's a large one and a smaller one that doesn't layer in where you can stack it all up. And so the star that I could not stack together, I have that over here, and that's what I used to cut out the bigger star. And then for the layering piece, get this back on here, I used the second biggest one on this set of layers here. So I'll try to remember to remind you of what I did when we get back to that point in the card making. So yes, it is a really great bundle. Lisa says she hopes they carry it over. Honestly, I hope they do too, because I love the stitching so much. Anything with stitching just makes my heart sing. And Marty already shared. Thank you so much, Marty. Good morning. It's good to see you here. All right, so let me go ahead and show you a card I got in the mail. I love getting cards in the mail, and so I have to share this one. It uses the Christmas Gleaming bundle. Look how pretty this is. Of course, it has the Christmas Gleaming Designer Series paper, just a multitude of beautiful gleaming stars in the background. Kind of looks like a very beautifully lit up starry night. And then we have the copper, and that is created, and it's got stitching on it, and it's created with the stitch shaped dies. And then of course these are punch outs. And then this is a stamp where you just stamp it out and you can just hand cut it and you have your sentiment right there. So my downline member Tammy made this for me and sent it along with her payment when she sent me her swap cards. And I have my downline members just send a couple of dollars so that I can send them their swap cards back. It helps a little bit with the postage. And she always does that little bit extra and sends me a sweet card in thanks for doing the swap every month. So thank you so much, Tammy. I love it. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and get started. So I want to bring this card back in because there's something on this card that's really interesting. I don't know if you picked it up when I first showed it to you, but notice this silver foil all the way around this card. Well, guess what? All of these cards are pre-prepped. That's right, because I am using something from Stampin' Up! Called the Silver Foil-Edged Cards and Envelopes. This is wonderful because it's done for you. You don't have to cut any of your card bases. They are already cut. So I've got a couple of card bases here because of course we're going to make 2 cards and we're going to do 2 giveaways. And then I have beautiful matching silver foil envelopes. Love that. All right, so that's what we're going to be working with. And let me just set this aside for a minute. Some other things you might notice, something that you won't even see because I'm sure it doesn't show up on the camera, is I embossed this pretty peacock background paper. Now the colors I'm using, because it looks so good with silver, is the pretty peacock, which is one of our newer in colors, and then I'm also using the Coastal Cabana color, and then of course the mercury glass paper. And so would you like to see the inside of the card? It's really pretty. Here it is. And it's just lovely. Oh, and Kathy's asking, she's so good. She's so good at directing me. Yes, she is asking if the foil edges come in gold. And they do. Thank you for reminding me of that, Kathy. You're so good to me. Thank you. So in addition to the silver foils. You can also purchase from Stampin' Up! The gold foil cards and envelopes. And it's a wonderful thing because you've got your matching envelope, you've got your cards, and that is just, you know, having these cards ready to go is just one less thing you have to do during the holidays. All right, so let me grab one little thing here that I've got to get up from my chair because I forgot to put it on my desk. But I do want, excuse me, I do want to share with you that I did use an embossing folder, and it's one of those super thick embossing folders. It's called a 3D embossing folder, and you can see how thick this is. And I use the subtles, or the subtle embossing folder, the subtle 3D embossing folder. And that is what I use to emboss these panels. And I know you can't really see it on the video, but for those of you that win the cards, oh my gosh, you're gonna love it because there's beautiful texture on here. It's so gorgeous. Oh, I have so many people sharing. Thank you, Melanie. Good morning from Ohio. Wonderful. So nice to see you. People are saying they love the color combo. And great. I'm so glad you guys love it. All right, so let me go ahead and we'll continue on here. So these can actually be put straight down onto our card base because we're not, well, no, I take that back, you guys. I almost did it again, where I really need to trim up the edges for this little layer down here. So let's start putting this card together, and I do not want to get ahead of myself. So the very next thing that I'm going to do is show you these little strips right here that we're going to put at the bottom of our card. So I'm going to keep these card bases out of the way, and we're going to work on these panels, get the panels completely done, and then we'll put them on our card. All right, so I did one in advance to kind of show you how it looks, and then I'll share with you the measurements. So the first measurement is just a 1/2 inch strip of our Coastal Cabana. And so pretty easy, and you just need to cut it a little bit wider than what you're going to be putting it on. And you're going to be putting it onto these embossed card panels that are 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. Why did I cut it to such a crazy measurement? Well, let me show you why. If you were to do the standard card measurement, which is 4 by 5 1/4, so this is 1/8 inch smaller than that, you wouldn't see as much of the silver foil going around. And the whole point is if you have silver foil lined cards, you want to show off the silver foil. It's as simple as that. And so that's what I'm doing here, showing you as much of the silver foil as I can. And that is why I trim this down to 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. Okie doke. So let's go ahead then and put these strips together. As I mentioned, the Coastal Cabana is a 1/2 inch. And then we have our paper. This is our mercury glass paper, and let me show you what it looks like. So I am down to like scraps, you guys, and then after I cut up what I'm going to do in the giveaway, I mean seriously, I've barely had enough to scooch together a couple of little pieces to show you. So it comes in 12 by 12 sheets. These are just little tiny samplers of it, but you can see the difference. You get 4 sheets in a pack, and one looks a little bit like crackle paint. I'm sure you've all seen that. And we even have a stamp set that kind of imitates that look. One of our background sets is called Crackle Paint. But this, of course, is way more gorgeous because it's all silvery and shiny, and it's got some see-through parts to it. And then the other piece that I'm using on my card today sort of looks like a starry night. It's got all those different kind of like little pinpoints in the distance, and it's beautiful, and it looks really gorgeous layered up onto the stars. All right, so we've got some more that are joining us. Welcome to Donna and to Karen and Debbie. Thank you, and thank you for sharing. So many of you are sharing. I love that. So then what you're going to do is to create this accent, you're going to need a 3/8 inch strip of the mercury glass paper. So I've got that here, and I'm going to take your pick tool. Right now I have the little shovel part out, so I'm going to put that back in. See, I love that. You can just change out your tools so fast with the take your pick tool. And I'm going to grab mini glue dots here. One thing I love about the Stampin' Up! Glue dots is they're really mini. They're very tiny. I love that. So I'm just going to set that in a couple of places where you can't see through to the other side. There we go. And then I'm going to layer it, and you only need a couple, you guys. You don't need to overdo the glue dots because those glue dots stick really, really well. So now you're just going to layer it over the 1/2 inch strip. And once you have that on, just press that down and we are good. So now what we want to do is grab those card panels, and we are going to use some multi-purpose liquid glue. Let's make sure this glue is going to come out for me. Oh my goodness! I wonder if there's a low pressure coming into Minnesota. I just did a little squeeze off camera and I have like a dime-sized blob on the floor. Hold on, I've got to grab a Kleenex and lift that away, for heaven's sake. Oh, it just went flying. I don't know if you guys have ever had this happen with glue, but one time I was traveling to a Stampin' Up! Event, and I had my glue in the luggage, and when I took it out to work on my swaps, I was at the hotel room. I took the cap off. I went to the bathroom. I came back, and all the glue was out of the cap. All the glue was out of the bottle. It just like flowed like lava because of the pressure change, I'm assuming. So I don't really travel with glue anymore. I make sure I'm traveling with my snail. So yeah, that was a little surprise. So anyway, oh goodness. So anyway, let's go ahead now. I did wipe it up off the floor. I might have to go back in later after this video is over and make sure I get that thoroughly off the floor. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to line one of these panels up here with my grid, and I'm just going to put it right around the 1 inch mark from the bottom. So we'll just set this in here. Whoops, it would help if I had it lined up rather straight all the way across. I almost didn't. But the lovely thing about glue is you can move it around a little bit. So that's what I did. I just moved it up. Then I'm going to take this other one and we're going to do the exact same thing. Just add a little glue there, and then I've left a little bit that I'll be cutting off kind of as my handle. We'll line this up on the grid paper. Actually, I don't have my grid paper out right now. I find that the white grid paper, which I really do use, you guys, I use it all the time, but I don't use it in videos because it's too much glare. So I have this old Stampin' mat that I got when I first joined Stampin' Up! Many years ago already, and that's what I use for my videos because it doesn't glare. All right, then I'm going to take my scissors here, and if you guys don't have a Stampin' Up! Paper snips, oh, you are missing out. This is a wonderful scissors. I actually keep 2 of them on hand, and one I use for paper, and then one I use for ribbon. And I found a new way to mark my ribbon scissors. Now, this is probably something I wouldn't put out in front of my customers because I think they get to chatting and they would never quite maybe look at this, but when I'm stamping by myself, I can do this just fine. So what did I do? I took my chalk marker. Stampin' Up! Sells a wonderful chalk marker. It's really super bright white. And I just put chalk on the inside part of the handle, on both sides of the handle. And that way I know that that's my ribbon scissors. So it's a really easy, quick way for me to just look at where I keep my scissors, and I can easily grab the paper snips that's designated for ribbons by that little chalk mark. Okay, let's see here. What do we got next here? So we've got that trimmed up. And you know what? I am going to go ahead and put this onto my cards because we don't have any more wraps to do. So we've got that done. So let me grab my bone folder. Do you know one thing that I've done for new demonstrators who join my group is I give them a bone folder that says Stamping to Share? Because even though that's what I call my blog, Stamping to Share, I just think it's such a great way to remember that this is the reason why we stamp. We don't stamp all these cards to keep for ourselves. We actually stamp so that we can share them with other people. And honestly, getting a card in the mail is one of the best day brighteners ever. So that's one of my little gifts to my downline when they become a member of my Creative Crafters team. All right, so now what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take this paper, we're gonna layer it up over the top. See, so you can see all this lovely silver all the way around. And I'm going to use snail to do that. I'm not really trusting the glue at the moment. So we're gonna take snail and we're just gonna hoover it over the top. And one of the tricks for hoovering is if you have everything cut evenly all the way around, you can hold your paper at kitty corner and then you're observing this corner and this corner to make sure those corners are square with your paper, and then you know automatically that the other corners will be square. So now just go ahead and press that in place, and then we'll do the same thing here to our next card. So again, flip it over, make sure it's all in place, and then just take your bone folder. That way everything lies flat for you and you don't have stuff popping up while you're working on it. Okay, so we're going to take the snail again. Oh, you guys, I have to tell you, it is so important that if you are a new customer, when you first get your snail, sometimes new customers don't always realize that this is a refillable item. So when you run out of snail, don't throw this all away. That would be a big mistake, because you can purchase refills very inexpensively from Stampin' Up. And look, you pull away the old and you can tell I'm about ready where I need a new refill. And then this is the part that you use over and over and over. And so you can just take your refill, put it right on top like this, and snap it in, and you're ready to go. So great tip for those of you that are new to snail. All right, so now we're going to do this again. We're going to just hold it by the corners, and we're just going to try to make sure that the other two corners are squared up, and then I just put it down and everything looks great. That's the Hoover method. All right, so now let's go ahead and let's work with those stars. So what you're going to need to do when you're cutting out your big star as your big, beautiful embellishment on here is you're going to need some Coastal Cabana scrap. I think they could almost call this color 3M Post-it note scrap. Look at how exactly this Post-it note matches the Coastal Cabana. I never realized that until I was getting ready for this video this morning. It's really quite remarkable. So anyway, there you go. So then once you have your scraps, you're going to run those through your die cutting machine. And as I mentioned before, let me just remind you again, there's a couple of little stars that do not really layer. So let me pull this up here. So there's one that doesn't really layer. So that's the one that I used on my scrap. It's this one over here. And I cut out 2 stars, and they have that fantastic stitching on. So we're going to set those aside. And then you are also going to cut out 2 of these beautiful little mercury glass acetate stars. And as you can see, because I had a bunch of squares that I used for my sample actually, but these little acetate stars were created with 2 3/4 inch square pieces of that mercury glass paper that has the little dots on. But you know what? Those stars would look every bit as beautiful if you were using the crackled glass as well. So whichever one you happen to have. All right, so here are your little stars, and you can see it even stitched the stars on the acetate, so pretty neat. So now what we're going to do is use our handy dandy glue dots again. So let me grab those. And we're going to use the take your pick tool, and we're just going to pull off some glue dots. And I'm making sure that I'm putting this on the back side. So my stitching is a little more rough on this side, so that I consider to be the back side. And I don't really know that there is a back side or a front side to the mercury glass. I mean, very, very subtle differences between the two sides. So I've kind of stopped worrying about whether or not there's a front or a back because it's just beautiful, either side. All right, so now again, you're going to hoover this over, and I put 3 glue dots on here. That's going to hold it very well. And there is 1 star, and then we'll do the same thing to the others. All right. Oh, I have a little time to read comments here. Oh, you guys are all so cute. Oh dear. Oh, I'm just reading a few of the comments. Good morning, everyone. If you're just joining me, my name is Kate Kalthoff, and I have a blog called Stamping to Share. I actually started my blog back in, oh my goodness, it's been so long now. I think I started it before I became a demonstrator in 2007, and it was called Stamping to Share. And then I decided to become a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and just kept the blog that I had started, and I'm still blogging today. So you can always look that up. And I always put project lists up. And I tried something new the last time. Well, the last couple of blog posts were actually my downline swapping cards. But I'm trying something new on my blog. You guys will have to let me know if you like this idea or not. But what I'm doing is I'm providing free PDFs. So every time that I do a Facebook Live or every time that I do a YouTube video, which honestly I don't really do YouTube videos anymore, I just pretty much put my Facebook Lives on YouTube just because, you know, I don't have all the time in the world to do this. So I have to kind of make sure my time works for me. So doing them together works for me. But I'm going to start doing free PDFs, I think, for all of my blog posts where I actually have designed the card. So what do you guys think of that? I think that's going to be pretty fun because sometimes you just want to print it out and get going on the card without all of this chit-chat, right? You guys are so special because you love watching the chit-chat, but not everybody does. Okay, so here we have a scrap of the Coastal Cabana again, and I used it to cut out these very elegant and delicate little pieces. Let me see if I can show it here. So I've got 2 of them, and they're just beautiful. I cut it out with Coastal Cabana. So I've got a couple because we're going to layer this behind our stars. So to do that, if I were to just lay this directly across, it's almost a little bit too big. So I'm going to cut these in half because you're not going to see what's back here anyway. So let me do that real quick. It seems almost, you know, sad to cut them because they're so pretty just on their own, but we are going to cut them because I want this to be more contained within the card instead of flying out on all the different sides. So what I'm going to do is I'm lining this up here so that it sticks out just a little bit in the upper right hand side. And then of course, to do that, I'm just going to grab a little Scotch tape, flip it over, and we're going to tape this down. Whoops. I think I did a pretty big piece here, so I might have to trim that up. So let me get that trimmed up. There we go. Then we're going to do the same thing on the bottom. So this is the top right, and then to do the bottom left, I'm just going to put that in. Oh, I don't know. Just so it looks right. You know what I mean? You can kind of tell as you're doing it what looks right. And I think that looks really good like that. So I'm going to flip it over and do the exact same thing. We'll secure it with a little bit of Scotch tape. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. All right, so with the other card, we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to set this in just like so. Whoops, is this the right one? Nope, I think we want to use this one in the upper right. I want to keep them the same so that when my winners, and again, you get to be a winner by, oh, I did have it right. You get to be a winner by sharing this on your, well, what the heck? Hold on. I did have this right. Sorry about that. I was just making sure I was doing it the same way. So I'm going to put this one on like this. You know what? I got a little too much extra here, so I'm going to cut some of this off. There we go. For some reason, this one got cut a little differently than my other ones did. There we go. That looks pretty. All right, so I'm going to flip it over. So anyway, to get in the drawing, all you have to do is share this on your timeline, make comments, tell me what you think about the projects, tell me where you're watching from. It's all very easy. And then this one is going to go down in this quadrant of the card. And once you get it kind of right where you want it, just flip it over and tape it down. I'm all about Scotch tape. It just makes life so quick and simple when you're card making. There you go. So we have our beautiful bursts of stars and all the lovely, I don't know, little swirls and curls coming out from them. And then you're going to flip them over and you're going to add some dimensionals. So let me grab my dimensionals. And we're just going to set these on. Just like this. And you know, you could go, well, maybe I will go ahead and do one in every quadrant of the star. I don't think you'd have to, so if you're low on dimensionals, don't worry about it. 3 probably works fine. But I think we'll just go ahead and go big. So there we go. Got one star done, and we can just set this on here, kind of at an angle like this. Like this. This angle. There we go. And set that in, and that looks great. Then we're going to do the same thing for this other one. Oh, yay, I had one comment on the PDFs. Thank you, Philomena. She says that's a fantastic idea. I don't know, it's a lot of extra work for me to do that, but I was just thinking, you know, when I was a Stampin' Up customer, or even as an early demonstrator with Stampin' Up, before we had all the Facebook Lives and everything, I used to really rely on the written word, the written instructions to do things. And I myself am kind of a word person. I love reading. And so sometimes I can skim through things and decide pretty quickly, is this something I need help with, or is this, you know, is this something I can do just by looking at? But I have found with my own customer base that they really love the videos. They love the Facebook Lives. But I think they would even love it more if they could have written instruction too. So I think I'm going to add that to what I'm doing. And we'll just see how it goes. If it takes too much time and nobody's really appreciating it, then I won't do it. But we'll see how it goes. So guess what? As I was cutting all of these out, you get all of these little inside pieces of the stars that you're cutting out. So save those because they make cute accents on your cards. So I have a whole little canister here full of little tiny stars. And again, you're just going to take your pick tool and you're going to pick a few of them. I'm going to throw some out here so I can see what sizes that I've got. Grab a glue dot. And then you can put a glue dot onto a little star and decide where you want it. So we'll just randomly put some stars in here. Not really random because I'm kind of following what I did with the card, with my original card, because I know everybody likes that and they're going to want to get one that's pretty close to what I've already done. So here's another little star. Then we'll do some littler ones. Here's a little tiny one, super cute. We'll put him right down here because there's not a tremendous amount of room there. And then we're going to put one more over there. sort of missed on the glue dot, but I fixed it. There we go. So that is beautiful. And we'll do the same thing to the other side. Add in some smaller little stars here. Put one over here, and then we'll add one more. And as you see, I do flip them over sometimes because there really is a front or a front and a back when you're die cutting. You can see that because there's a little raised edge on your die cut. There we go. Beautiful. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Nancy. Nancy's telling me she thinks it's a beautiful card. She says, thanks for sharing the PDFs. Great. Yes, it is. I am just going to see how it goes. I'll probably make a decision by January if I want to keep doing it, but I'll give it a couple of months and see, you know, if I get maybe some new customers out of that, or if I get a little more traffic to my blog. I think with Facebook, it's kind of hard now because everybody just goes to Facebook and they don't necessarily go to your blog. However, if you are a Pinterest fan, which almost every crafter is, because why wouldn't you be? There's so many ideas. Then you need a blog to go to follow those cards back to. So I was hoping maybe this would help more people follow back to my blog. All right, so now we're going to do a little stamping, and we're going to use the Pretty Peacock. And I've got my Stampin' mat because I want a really good image with this. I've got the Joy all set up on a block B. Just going to ink that up and stamp that. Do the same thing on the other side. And then we're going to punch it out with one of my most favorite punches in the whole world. I love it. I've sold a ton of these punches to my customers because I use it all the time and they're just seeing it on my cards so often. But it is the Tailored Tag Punch. And I love those smooth, clean lines. And it works so well for this card because even though we have swirls, our star is a clean line, our line over here is a clean line. There's a lot of smooth cleanness on these cards. And so here we go. So we're just gonna put this in, measure it up, and punch it out. And we just do the same thing to the other side. Just set that in there, get it all perfect, and punch it out. And then these are going to go on with dimensionals. So let me grab my dimensionals again. Oh, Karen, thank you so much. She's telling me it's a spectacular card. And Lynn, who's one of my downline members, loves the PDF idea. Oh, great. Yes, then you can just print them off or save it to your computer and use it when you're ready to use it. Because sometimes you have to buy the stamps before you can actually use the PDF. All right, so here we go. We've got our sentiment, and we're just going to set this right over the top because look what this is doing, you guys. It is filling in this little bit of extra space here. See? Now everything is balanced. See? See the difference between the two cards? How this one looks very balanced and this one needs a little help yet, so we're going to fix that. So we'll just pop this up over here and balance this card out as well. There we go. So the front of our cards are complete. Now let's work on the inside panel. So just as a reminder, what does the inside look like? Well, we're gonna do this. May you enjoy this beautiful season. And then I've got a whole little sprinkling of little tiny Coastal Cabana stars and dots and some bigger stars. So again, this is all in that So Many Stars stamp set. And one of these I pre-did. So you don't have to watch me do it twice, although you always say you never mind. But here, I'm just going to do it once. So let me open up the inside panel of this card, and we're going to open up the Coastal Cabana and do that part of it first. So we're going to grab this cute little spray of stars and dots, and we just inked it up with Coastal Cabana. And there's really no right or wrong way to do this. I tend, when I'm stamping like kind of a swoosh of things, I sort of move my stamp around a little bit so it's getting I don't know, a different look. I mean, it's not the exact same thing stamped over. And I'm going to hold this up to the camera because there's something really unique about this that's really cool. But they kind of fit together, so you can sort of make something that looks like a Milky Way, which I think is a really cool idea. All right, so then what you're going to do is get your Pretty Peacock ink pad out again, because we're going to stamp the sentiment and the other stars with Pretty Peacock. So here it is. Oh no, where'd my other sentiment go? Did I not get it ready? I'm wondering. Hold on. I think I forgot to get it ready. So we're going to open this up, and I'll show you how to do that. All right, so here it is. Just peel it off, and then I think it will work on this block C. So let me grab my cleaner pad, which I told you guys I was going to get a new one, and then I never did, because it still works fine even though it looks really terrible. And I just keep a couple of pads together in a wood mount stamp case. I'm going to clean this one up because we're done with it. And then I'll take it off this block, and we will grab the, oh no, where did it go? You guys see my sentiment? I just had it, literally just had it. And I must have set it down and it's gone. Oh, here it is. It's stowed away on the on the cleaning pad case. Too funny. All right, so we found it. So we're gonna flip it over upside down. Well, actually right side up. I don't know how you would say that. But anyway, it will stamp now, and then you can just take your block, hoover it over the top. And I try to line my sentiment up so that it is the same, it's going the same direction as the block is, so that everything is even. Now we'll ink it up with Pretty Peacock, and we'll just set this in like so. So there it is. There's our inside sentiment. Then take this little star that I have on a block A, and we're just going to scatter a few of those around. Pretty. And it's done. And it's so perfect. All it needs now is your name at the bottom. And it is ready to be put in the mail. Of course, you could decorate the envelopes as well. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do that, because why not? And that way when I send out to my winners on Monday, you guys will get decorated envelopes at the same time. So again, I'm just cleaning up my word sentiment here. And then I'm going to put the little kind of swoosh of different stars. And we'll grab that ink, the Coastal Cabana. And I think I need a little piece of scrap paper. So, I don't know. Do I have one? I'll use this. And we'll just do a little decoration down here in the corner. So we'll ink it up with Coastal Cabana. Let's kind of add a little bit here and there. And then we'll take the Pretty Peacock ink, and we'll just add a couple of those stars, those really cute little stars. There it is. There is your pretty decorated envelope. And we'll quickly do the other one. Again, use Coastal Cabana for your little spray of stars. And then just take that little tiny star and add a couple of little tiny stars to it. And that just gets people so excited when they go out to their mailbox and they see the decorated envelope and their hearts start to race and they're like, oh my gosh, I got a hand stamped card. I can't wait to see what it is. So just build that excitement by decorating your envelopes. It's lots of fun to do that. So here are the decorated envelopes, and here are the cards we made. So here's the first one, and here is the second one. So thank you everyone so much for joining me today. I truly appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the Facebook Live, and I'll put this up on YouTube a little bit later. You guys have a great day, and thank you again. I truly, truly appreciate you. Bye-bye.